Not too long ago, we told you how forest rangers here in New Mexico are warning people to be aware of black bears in the Gila area. Basically, in any of the mountain ranges, people have been reporting seeing more black bears near their homes and in recreational areas than usual. And back in May, New Mexico Game and Fish captured this hungry young bear in Bernalillo. Game and Fish say the little guy made his way down, maybe from the Jemez or the Sandias. And so this morning we are curious, a big question, not just we're wondering, a lot of people are wondering exactly how many bears are there in New Mexico, and probably even a more important question, can we learn to live with the bears? We're talking about that this morning with Game and Fish fur bear biologist Elise Goldstein. Elise, welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, so the idea here, we have an estimate right now of how many bears are in New Mexico. What's that number at?
Well, you know, it's hard to say exactly because what we do right now is we look at the bear habitat.
Okay.
And we say how many bears can live in this habitat.
Okay.
And so what we want to do now is to try and find a way to figure out how many bears actually are there.
Okay. So what are you guys doing? How do you count? I mean, because my goodness, the mountains and the forest here are huge. How do you count how many bears are in the state?
Exactly. That's a really good question and one that we've been wrestling with for a long time. And so now we have a really exciting opportunity with some of the new genetics technologies that have come out there to do a study where we are working with New Mexico State University, and we have a PhD student, Matt Gould, who is trying to get at exactly this problem. And so he has set up some ways to get some DNA from individual bears.
Okay.
And so you can look at the DNA from the individual bears and you can actually extrapolate to how many bears have to be out there in order to get that DNA from those bears.
Okay.
So it's really an exciting new technique.
So when you talk about bear DNA, I'd imagine maybe you're talking about like fur or hair that kind of falls off the bear or something. Is that one way to get it?
It is. So what they do is they take different sites and they attract the bears by putting some really stinky stuff that would make us run away.
Okay.
But the bears love it.
That's a really good thing. We want to attract bears and keep humans away.
Right.
Yeah.
So we bring them in, and there's they take a strand of barbed wire, and they'll take an area where there's several trees, and they'll wrap it kind of around the group of trees, and they'll put the bait in the middle.
Okay.
So they put it at a height so that the bear will just have to duck under it just a little.
Okay.
And
so it's not going to hurt the bear.
No, in fact, the
Okay.
bear's not even going to know it's there.
Okay.
So he'll see it, he'll duck under it and you'll probably just have to duck his head a little, walk under it. And the barbs are, you know, they're very small, those barbs, but it'll just basically catch a little chunk of fur.
Okay.
And so right where that fur joins in with the skin, there's a little bit of DNA.
Okay.
So the researchers have to handle that really carefully because the DNA is really fragile.
Sure.
But they can send that to the lab, and the labs can figure out which individual bear left that sample.
Okay,
Yeah.
and by that, I imagine you do some numbers, some statistics, and you can get a better estimate of how many bears are actually living in the wild.
Exactly. So we're real excited to be able to put a number of known bears as just opposed to sort of what we think should be out there. And I think we're going to learn some really great stuff.
What is that number? You mentioned it earlier, that the total possible bear population, like because of the environment. What's that number? What's it around?
Right. So we're looking at something like 5,000 or 6,000, maybe 7,000 is what we think. And so it'll be really nice. They're actually doing this study in 3 different mountain ranges.
Okay.
And so we can look at some different types of bear habitat and see what
Gotcha.
the numbers in those different areas are.
Okay, so and why is it important to do this? Some people might say, all right, so the bears live in the mountains. What's the big deal? Just let them live. Why is it important to actually get this more solid number?
Right. So Game and Fish is responsible for keeping healthy bear populations. So we want to have the number of bears that the habitat can support. And so if we can see how many are there in years where things are going well, we can try to manage to keep that number. So we have a bunch of management tools we can use, including how many bears can be harvested. So we want to make sure we're not taking too many.
Okay.
Not taking too many. So.
All right, it's very important stuff, very interesting.
Thanks.
It's a good lesson learned here. Find out more about the bears, how to keep yourself safe from the bears, find out more about that study, head to our website at casa.com, click on the Casa blog. Elise Goldstein, thanks for coming in and sharing all that information this morning. I appreciate it.